Boy, oh boy, it is bright this morning, but I am here in Sloan Lake Park. This is the centerpiece of the Sloan Lake neighborhood, one of the best neighborhoods in Denver. You can see the lake behind me. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what the neighborhood's actually called. We'll talk about everything, and I'm gonna show you around. This is a great neighborhood for a lot of reasons. Maybe the biggest reason is this park, and then the second biggest reason is the location. Very central on the west side of town. So west of downtown, so easy access to the mountains, but very good access to downtown, pretty much everything you want to do in Denver, and very close to some other great neighborhoods, low-high, sunny side, walkable to some of those things. And it's also got its own soul. It's got a few shopping dining districts. It's got plenty to do. You'll see people doing outdoor activities here this morning. Let's talk about it. Let's have a look. The park is obviously centered on the lake, but a big part of it is these big walking and biking paths. You see kind of a biking path over here, walking path over here. People sometimes do walk on the biking path and or the grass as well. But yeah, no motorists, just for pedestrians, and you'll see pretty much from everywhere in the park you get mountain views, especially on a clear morning like this. It's pretty excellent. And you see a lot of this, people running, jogging, walking, strollers, bikes. It's an active part of Denver. And this path is 2.6 miles in total around the park. So yeah, that's plenty of space to do your morning jog, do your bike, you can do a few loops, or just get from one end of the neighborhood to the other. The lake itself is an interesting one because we don't actually know how it came to be. We know it's man-made. It's a man-made lake, and there's a legend. The lake is named after a man named Thomas Sloan. He apparently bought or had some sort of lease on this parcel of land in 1866. And the legend goes, he unknowingly tapped into a well, an aquifer, built a well, tapped into an aquifer, and went to sleep. And in the morning, got up and found this whole thing flooded, and that created the lake. Uh-oh. What do we got going on over there? Now, official record says that that's not true. That's just an urban myth, and nobody really knows how the lake was made. I choose to believe that it was made by a flooding from Thomas Sloan because that's hilarious, and we don't have any other explanation, but we do know that it's man-made. And I mean, the whole neighborhood's named after this guy. And one key point of distinction, or correction, if you will, everyone here calls it Sloan Lake. If you hear anyone talk about the lake or the park or the neighborhood in Denver, they'll say Sloan's Lake. It's actually Sloan Lake, just Sloan. Sloan Lake, but everybody says Sloan's, which is technically inaccurate, but we don't seem to care. Then you have the neighborhood, which is largely residential outside of the park, and then a few of those strips of businesses. You'll see up here, especially closer to the lake and closer to the park, there are a lot of newer modern builds, a lot of beautiful multi-million-dollar houses. Many of the lots have been scraped, and it's either been a brand new build or going down to the studs and starting over, but there's also a lot of the old world charm, 40s, 50s builds, even older than that, 20s and 30s here in Sloan Lake. So you're gonna get some old brick ranches, you're gonna get some bungalows, some Tudors as well, and some of these modern new builds. You see this a lot in Denver neighborhoods, especially more central Denver neighborhoods, not so much in the suburbs, but in the city of Denver itself, in some of these neighborhoods, especially these marquee neighborhoods, you're gonna see a lot of diversity in housing, a good blend of old and new. We can take a look at it on a map here and see where Sloan Lake sits. It's bordered by Edgewater on the west and kind of Jefferson Park in the Highlands on the east and north. If you go to the West Highlands, they sort of bleed into Sloan Lake from the north. Good sized neighborhood too, where some of these neighborhoods, Jefferson Park, Edgewater, are pretty small. There's not a lot going on there. But Sloan Lake itself is a good, robust neighborhood. You kind of have everything you need here in addition to being so close to a lot of this other stuff as well. up here on 29th and Tennyson, north side of the neighborhood. There is a little corner of shops and businesses, including Hogshead Brewery. Okay, what's a Denver neighborhood without a marquee brewery? And this is it right here. In addition to this, just a few blocks north of here, the 32nd and Lowell area, Loud Truck, there is another great big strip of businesses, bars, restaurants, coffee, shops. Fire on the Mountain, wing place. Probably the best wings in Denver is there. I'm not gonna go there because that's technically a different neighborhood. At that point, we're in the West Highlands neighborhood. The street I'm on right here, 29th, this is sort of the line of demarcation between Sloan's Lake and West Highlands, but it's walkable. It's right there from Sloan's Lake, and great spot. Okay, so I just got in the car and took a drive over here to the west side of Sloan's Lake, just across Sheridan. We're actually technically in Edgewater right now, but here on Sheridan there's a bunch of shops and bars and restaurants too that it's not technically in the Sloan's Lake neighborhood, but you have access to it. It's right here. And one of them I personally have a special fondness for, Lakeview Lounge. I'm parked outside of it right now. I'm gonna get out the car and show you it real quick. Great view of the lake, great dive bar vibe, cheap beers, good people. It's a gem. It is a West Denver gem. Here she is. Yes, it's right on Sheridan, but Lakeview, they're not kidding. It's right across from the park. You can see downtown, hop up on the patio here. Great patio, low key, no frills. Beers are cheap. Yeah, there's a Starbucks and there's a UPS store up there, and I could show you all that, but Lakeview Lounge is where it's at. So here we are, we're on Sheridan. You can see the lakes right across the street, lake and park. It's where we're at, plenty to do. You got auto body, you got Starbucks, but like I said, you also got some good local spots to eat and drink. Yeah, all this you have access to from Sloan's Lake. Then over here on the south side of the park, so we've been on the north side, west side, and south side. Now there are a number of things. There are geese, okay? Plenty of geese around here. They're friendly. There's a great big playground, kind of whole playground area here. I'm not gonna go too close because I don't want anyone to think I'm creeping, but you know, playground. Great, great spot for the kids. Also, more geese. And then there's also the most commercial part of the Sloan's Lake neighborhood, just down here. We're on 17th here. So what you're looking at right now, this building, is called the Lake House. It's a big glass building, obviously, of condos, apartments, more commercial housing here. I'm walking across the street. I think I'm fine. Doesn't look like I'm getting hit. We also have tennis courts right here as part of the park, or right across the street from the area I was talking about, right there. And then this whole nice little area down here, this is one part of it. There's a bunch, so you're seeing condos, apartments, stuff like that. You'll see too, up on these lamp posts here, it says Sloan's, but then it also says, welcome to the West Colfax neighborhood. So this is where I have to explain myself, because once again, much like over in that other area I was talking about to the west of the park, this is not technically the Sloan's Lake neighborhood. This is technically the West Colfax neighborhood. That's back there, 17th to the north, is Sloan's Lake. That's the end of Sloan's Lake. But this area, it's considered part of the Sloan's Lake neighborhood, and you have access to it. There's a whole bunch going on here. You have brewery, you have a great burger spot, tacos, in addition to housing. There's an Alamo Draft House back there. Like I said, the most commercial spot of this neighborhood, even though it's not really part of this neighborhood. And this is where, as YouTube people, we say, did you like this video? But take a look at this other video that I made. And I say it too, so I'm making fun of myself as well. But truthfully, I did do a Lohi Highlands tour, not just Lohi, the whole Highlands, which I mentioned, adjacent neighborhood to Sloan's here, great neighborhood, ton going on there, quite a bit different too. So if you want to check that out, take a look here. Otherwise, you're the best. Talk soon.